Hello, everyone. This is my week 30 recap, and it's going to be pretty quick because I really didn't have any contact with Solomon throughout this week, and I really have a feeling it's because as I left last week, he's been wanting me to implement some of the things that he had been telling me, and so I have been doing that, and I want to give an example of something that I found um, very interesting for me from utilizing some of his techniques. And again, I had been talking about that, and I go back from last week where he wanted me to start writing some stories about experiences I want to have, and really focus on that aspect of his teachings. It was like just kind of telling a story about something I want to experience. And at work, I we had this patient. She was mentally challenged, and she started to become very um, disruptive in her waiting area, and we had to kind of single her out to somewhere else. And um, she was she was with her mother and I guess a worker that I guess helps to take care of her. And neither of them really could keep control of her. I think they took something away from her, and she started getting upset, and she was spitting at everything on the seats and on our magazines in the front. She was kind of making a lot of noise and yelling and being disruptive with them. She had a mammo scheduled, and then she was scheduled for a brain MRI. And so Denise had did a mammo on her, and I guess she got spit in her hair. And so as this was happening, everybody's kind of come. Obviously, they knew that she was coming to me for an MRI, and they were kind of like, "Oh, well, good luck with this," because she was being so disruptive. And so I decided I was going to utilize some of Solomon's techniques. So I wrote a little mini story on a little post-it, and I'm going to read it off, and then I'll explain what actually happened. And I think it's important to note that I didn't want to focus how everyone else, I noticed everyone else was focusing negatively and reacting to how she was coming across. And I wanted to come across differently, and I wanted to feel differently towards her. So this is why I wrote this story. Again, mini story. And so I said, and I go up to the front to call the next patient, and I said her name. And I wrote it down, but I'm not going to say it here. But she turns to me and instantly calms down. What a beautiful woman, I think to myself. I take her into the back and explain the procedure to her. To her family's surprise, the woman answers me courteously and graciously as best as she can. I give her some music to listen to and talk her gently through the exam. When we are done, everyone is surprised. I got such a good exam on her, but I just say it's because I saw the beauty in her. And as I wrote that down, I was really feeling genuine, feeling for her, emotion for I just caring about her, and I wanted to really show that emotion. And so when I did get the patient, they all came back, the mother and the helper and her, and I got them all ready, got her in the room, and I was speaking to the patient, and because I like to do that, I like to just explain it to her. And I remember the worker saying, "Oh, she doesn't understand," and I think I even mentioned, I said, she probably understands, more than you would think. and I kind of left it at that. Um, and to my surprise, at first she kind of said no, she wasn't going to get on there, and then all of a sudden she just got on the table. It came out of nowhere. She just got on the table, sat down, and was completely still for the entire exam. I mean, it was a perfect exam. You would have never known this patient had been so difficult earlier because, or she had any problems or was mentally challenged or anything, because the exam she held perfectly still. And the mother sat next to me, and I think she stood up and was looking in the window, and I think she was completely shocked that she was holding as still as she was. And I talked her through it just as I wrote down, and everything came out perfectly. And for me, I thought that was kind of validation of what Solomon had been telling me. It's like, if I would have I feel like if I would have responded how everyone else was responding, I might not have gotten the exam, or it would have been a terrible exam, and because she would have been fighting the whole time. But because I chose to see her in a different way, she had to respond differently to me. And again, because I'm writing my own story, she has to respond to the story that I believe is going to happen. And again, by writing the story, and I had a lot of emotion into it, I put this impression on there. Again, this is just how I feel. I put this impression, and she had to respond to that impression. Anyway, I just wanted to share that story because I just thought it was very interesting. Um, and anyway, that's about it for this week, because again, I didn't really have any contact. It was just what I actually utilized through this week. So again, I will talk with everyone next week. All right, thank you.